Well, let's take a look at the ideal mobile scenario. So if we could live in an ideal world where everything worked on the mobile web exactly the way we want it, what would that be? I think it's a good idea to take a look at this and then also realize that we may not be able to get there from here, and that, it may not ever work exactly the way we want, but at least we know what we're working towards and what we're really trying to achieve. So let's take a look at that. So here we are in an ideal world. The visitor who's coming to your site, either by typing in a domain name or by doing a search, is going to be directed to the proper content as well as site formatting. Here's how this sort of works. What we want is for people to be able to just enter one domain. We don't want to try to make people remember that you have a mobile domain and which version of it are you using, whatever. You want them to be able to just know your domain, and when they type it in, it serves up the correct content. The device detection should work automatically. Likewise, if they are doing a search or they are on mobile advertising or either on the desktop, so depending on where they're doing, if I'm sitting at my desktop doing a search, I'm on desktop. And then if I'm on my phone doing one, then obviously it's mobile. And then what you want is that when they're coming from those search engines, that they would, again, fall right into the correct site. Each of the content for the different sites in an ideal world would be different. Now, you'll notice from the options classes that there's some times when maybe you're going to have the same content. But in an ideal world, you would have content that's specific to what someone needs when they are mobile. And then the idea also is, in a big red circle there in the middle, is that we should always let the visitor decide. Do they really want the mobile content or do they want the desktop content? The reason is sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes the device detection doesn't send the mobile site to the phone, and so then you want someone to be able to say, no, click a button, click a mobile button, get onto the mobile site. Or there are folks who actually like to have the full-size site on their phone. I don't know who they are. They must have much better eyesight than I do, but there are people who want that, and the idea is to create what people want. Let the visitor decide. And the last thing I want to point out on this slide is the concept of where you put your mobile content. So depending on which of the options you're using, you may not need some of these. That's why it's in parentheses. If you're doing a responsive theme or just adding in a theme onto your regular site, you will not necessarily need a new domain, either the m. which is a subdomain, or a new .mobi, or putting things into a subdirectory off of your domain. If you're not building a standalone mobile site, you will not need this. Now those terms will all make a lot more sense when you get to the options session. But for now, what you need to know is those are the options. You should still probably always buy your domain name in the .mobi version and then direct it to your own site, your own mobile version. I think that's a smart thing so you don't end up with someone else taking your domain. Now, here is an acceptable mobile scenario. The slides did change just a tiny bit here. And this is basically where the mobile site is all content, but it's served in a mobile format. And this is where you would be, using a responsive theme or just adding on a mobilized theme to your site. That is fine. I mean, the reality is that, unless you're, a huge multinational corporation or something like that, the best scenario may not be to spend a ton of time trying to do a complete new site and get the content. It may just be to do the best you can, make sure it's available, and then move on to other things. And that's fine too. I want to make sure you understand that you know the ideal, but that there may be times when it's perfectly fine to do it like this. And you'll know what works for you in your situation. Let me just show you an example of a site that's mobilized correctly so you know what it looks like when it's happening. This is a site of my Jefferson County Public Library. I was looking for a book. I happened to be on my phone. I wanted to know if a particular book was in the library so I could go to pick it up. I was out. I don't remember. I think I was sitting in line at my daughter's school waiting for her to come out, and I wanted to check so that on my way home, if it was there, we would stop and pick it up. It put me into the full-size site, and right away I thought, oh my gosh, I can't see what I'm doing here, and I hate the pinching and squeezing thing. So I went down to the bottom, and lo and behold, there was my link to Go Mobile. Oh, I was so happy. Great, great, great. I click that button, off we go. Here's what I have next. Now I've got the mobile version on my phone. And you'll see that right away it's giving me my account abilities, and what was I there for in the first place? To search the library catalog. It's a box. It's right there. It's easy. The button is clickable by my finger. It's awesome. Likewise, the library information tab is right there, so I can find out, is the library open? You know, I know there's one of the days that it closes early, but I can never remember which one. So I was able to click through and find out, yes, the book was there. Yes, the library is open. And off I went to the library. Life is good. When I got home, I decided to just check to see what it looked like on my iPad, because I wanted to know if they'd mobilized for their iPad. And they had not, and that's fine. When I saw the site on my iPad, it worked fine. I can see what I want to do. I can make it work. So I just wanted to point this out, that in most scenarios, unless you have a publication or something where you absolutely need an iPad version, you are fine to skip doing any sort of creation of mobile for your iPad. A lot of the mobilized versions will have an option for providing the mobile content for iPad. I like to keep that off. I think on an iPad, the full-size site is plenty, is good enough. So that's one of the things you can kind of relax on a little bit, one less thing you can keep off your to-do list. Now, I just want to talk briefly about the concept of desktop and mobile content separate, because I want to make sure you're clear on that. The reason why is that on a desktop or tablet, there's a big enough screen for the full consumption of all content. You can sit there for a while. You've got time. You've got a full computing power. Now, phones are getting, more and more powerful all the time, but they still aren't as powerful as a full desktop computer. So it's a good idea to realize that when you've got desktop content, people can absorb that. The mobile user obviously has a smaller screen, and they need the content to be easily consumable. They also may have different priorities of the content they want to access, and I'm going to show you an example of that in just a minute. The thing you want to keep in your mind as you're mobilizing your site is, why would people want to access your site if they could be doing it on a desktop or tablet? Is there something that they're probably looking for? In my example of the library, it was, is a book available? What are the hours? Those are the kinds of things that I really want when I'm mobile. So here's an example from Betty Crocker. You'll see their desktop site here has, it's mostly about recipes and full-size pictures and just all sorts of things that you can click on. When you go to their mobile site, well, the thing that really struck me is that it's got that grocery list tab right up there at the top. And I think that what is really great about it, I haven't gone into detail on it, but I believe when you have an account at Betty Crocker, you can pick recipes and then select it. So you go into, they pile in the ingredients into your grocery list. Where do you want your grocery list? On your mobile phone. I think that's so great. The fact that the content of the grocery list is probably a top priority use of the mobile user. So it's right there. It really makes it an easy option to get to the content that someone is going to want when they're mobile. That's a really great example of that. I have one more example to show you, and this is Cars.com. They have a really great site and a really great mobilization, and they do a great job of marketing their mobile site as well. They actually have had Super Bowl ads that clearly display mobile back, a couple years back when no one else was doing it. So Cars.com has really been in on this for a while. But you'll see that their desktop site has just tons of stuff. I mean, tons of options, and you can look for a make of a car, and there's all these different forms and all this, and it kind of works on the desktop. It's really easy to say, I want this, I want that, and then, click around and see what you want. On their mobile site, first of all, I want you to notice at the very top, it noticed right away that I'm on Android. So it gave me the option for downloading my app. So it was able to device detect and notice that I'm on Android. That's pretty common in the device detection. And then it offers me their app. So here's an example of the mobile web showing me their app. And this is a great example because I think it's someone who's in the car buying market may go to cars.com over and over and over again over time, and to have the app onto their phone is a good use of it. And then you'll notice that they've got here sort of they've put it down into, find your car, new, used, certified, so people can really pick right there the category first and then start drilling down. And then they've got things like the car shopping tools, the Kelley Blue Book. That's not really high up on the main site, but I'm guessing they've done research and found that the people on mobile are looking for that quite a lot. So they went ahead and put it right up there at the top. So they've done some figuring to see what is something that people need. So Cars.com has done a great job of this, and I hope that these two examples have just given you a clear idea of what I mean by content specific for mobile. So at this point, it's time to take a look at your options. I gave you a little bit of a teaser on what those are and how it may be different, but I just want you to be prepared that there's really not just one way to mobilize your WordPress site. There's several different options. I'm going to walk you through them. I'm going to show you the different tools for which ones work for where you're at with your site and mobilizing your WordPress site, because we're not all starting from the same place. We all have different scenarios of what we're trying to accomplish, what our site is like, what our WordPress site has got on it. So I think the options part is really important. I know you're probably very excited to get into the actual tools, and you will learn the tools in the next one, but be sure to pay attention to what those options are and the strategy of how to use them.